Promotional consideration provided by Save Your Fanny Pack. It's not a disaster pack, it's a survival pack. Welcome back to Newswire LA. I'm your host, Chin Thomasangsi. We'll be returning to Marina del Rey shortly, where Ron and Linda will now go into Phase 2. Phase 2 covers the outside of Linda's home and her garage. And once we get into her garage, Ron is going to show us all of the hazards that exist there and what we can do to get rid of them. So without further ado, let's go back to Marina del Rey, to Ron Haralson and Linda Blakely. We'll see you back here shortly.
In my 18-year career, as far as the ranks or positions I've held, I started off as a firefighter. Shortly after that, I went to school and became a firefighter paramedic. And then once I did that for about 5 or 6 years, I went to the rank or promoted to the rank of fire engineer or firefighter specialist, being in charge of the trucks and the engines and all the apparatus. And then from there, just recently, within about a year and a half ago, I promoted to the rank of fire captain. What attracted me most to the job was the excitement of being able to go out. Of course, the big red fire engine, of course, as a kid, everybody wants to be a firefighter or a sports hero or some type of superhero. So as a kid, you see firefighters, and that's something you look at and you go, wow, if I get the opportunity or the chance to ever do that, I will. When we went to Linda's house, we took a look at the outside and assessed the exterior of her house. That's so important because that's the first thing we see as first responders. And once again, we're going from the firehouse to your house. So as we roll up as firefighters with the crew on this emergency, there's some things that jump out to us. First of all, the location, the address. Are those address letters or numbers visible? How many stories is the place? Is it 1-story, 2-story, 3-story? That's important. There's a lot of things that jump out for us that's critical as first responders. Okay, Linda, so we've had a good workout. We got our walk in. Now I'm back in uniform because it's time to get down to business. As we talked about in our lineup, what we want to talk about today as far as your house. Okay. So when we roll up as a firefighter, as a fire department, we think about where we're going. We get all the information that comes across on our computers of where we're going and the nature of the call. But what we do once we get here, we want to make sure that the addresses are clearly visible from the street, because in a condo like this or a townhouse or multi-residential dwellings, it can get a little confusing. There's the number and then there's a lettering system that goes on too. So if it's not obvious when we roll up that there's smoke coming from this particular unit, it sure does help us out for time's sake to have those addresses clearly visible like we're seeing here yours are, and we can go right to that unit. Because what can happen is we could go to the neighboring unit thinking that's part of yours and actually spend time cutting those doors or forcing entry, and that's valuable time. The clock's ticking. But also what helps us too is when we go out every year, when you see us walking around our district or driving the district, that's to get familiar with where everything is. Okay. The units, the addressing, we have maps on board, especially large complexes like this.
Okay. And we actually try to keep these trees clipped, cut down like at least once a year.
Absolutely.
So that it used to go way over the fences, and it's like that's even more dangerous, of course.
Yes, and that can block access, that can block addresses. And we have the chimney here. We want to make sure that there's no vegetation too close to the house. We want to keep a clearance there because we know if it's something starts in that vegetation or that bush or shrub or tree that's too close to your structure, then it's going to spread to the structure itself.
Well, like those over there.
That could be an issue. We could pull those back a little bit. They're kind of thin. They're not too heavy right now, and I wouldn't consider that a major hazard right now.
Yeah, because sometimes I wonder, being, connected dwellings, houses, that if something started over there and here I am in between, about like I'm affected as though it's my house.
Yeah, sometimes there's a separation between the units. Some units have a common attic, which can be dangerous because if a fire starts at your neighbor's place, it can travel from unit to unit.
Right.
That's where we hope that your neighbor in that other unit has done what you're doing now.
You said it takes a minute for you to come from the firehouse down into the trucks.
It'll take a minute to get ready to leave the station.
Okay.
So the response team time for your particular engine would be approximately 3 minutes. So
wow.
By the time they get here, right? So that's where it's important for you to be ready and prepared as the homeowner, because that clock is ticking, the fire's getting bigger, or whatever the situation is, time is valuable and so important.
Somebody once said, if you break a window, it's not necessarily good because it can even make the fire go faster.
You have to be aware of the dynamics of that, because once you introduce that oxygen from another room or open a window, that's going to change things. So if you're not in position, if you're not prepared, or if you haven't gotten yourself out of that place, then you could be in trouble.
Well, when we're outside, can we please look at that way up there at some point? Because that's where you said I have to come out.
That's your second story window. That's fine. And actually, you have a pretty good landing there because you actually step out onto a slope.
Okay.
So you'd be away from the building, away from that room if there was any involvement up on the second level.
Okay.
And you'd be right there in a safe enough place where we could get you down.
Hello.
Absolutely. Okay, let's take a look around the backside.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Okay,
Ron, this is for you, the fire department.
Absolutely.
For 15 years, I don't think I've paid any attention to this.
See?
I'm so glad you're going to tell me how do you get into it?
We're going to discover all kinds of little
yeah.
goodies, safety goodies today, okay?
Okay.
Well, when we roll up as a fire department, this is our access box. It allows us to get into this gate back here.
Right.
Which is going to take us around the backside in the alley of the units here.
Okay.
So this saves us time. This avoids having to actually cut the fence itself and force entry to get inside.
Okay.
So we can come in here. We have a key to here. We'll open that up, and we'll have the access, and that'll actually open that automatic gate. And if we had the code, some of the units in the area will actually know the code as well. So we'll have that, and we can actually come in, punch the code, and then we can make our way in here. Pull our hose back here, or get an engine as close as we possibly can, and make our way to the back here.
Yeah, because engines are pretty big. Can they?
Engines are pretty big. They could actually fit back here. But depending on the situation or the incident, we may or may not want to commit an engine to the alley. We may stop short here, and we can pull the hose off. We've got hundreds and hundreds of feet of hose on there, so we can pull it or stretch it, as we say, to wherever we need it.
And what's the tallest ladders that you guys carry?
We have a 100-foot aerial ladder. If we needed to get up there, we can get up about 4 stories, stretch it a little bit.
I don't think we have to worry then. You can get up on the
top here.
You're good here.
Then we've got our smaller ladders, our 35-footers, 24-foot, and it goes on to a whole complement of different sizes. So we've got everything. We've got tools for every job.
What was it like the first time you ever went up a 100-foot ladder?
It was high, very high, scary.
Very high.
Yeah, because it gets narrow as you go up the ladder. Yeah, and you start to hear the wind blow, and it starts to kind of sway a little bit on you.
Oh, so, terrific! I'm glad.
But you have to block all that out.
You have to, otherwise you'd end up falling back down 100 feet. No way.
Okay, well, let's make our way to that. Yeah, we'll go on in. Let's have you.
I will press my magic code.
Press the magic code.
And we shall enter.
And voila.
Okay, we're going in.
As far as the assistance we get from the general public when we pull up, once again, first things first is when you make that call to 911, be very clear and specific where you're at, the location, your address, any cross streets, anything that's pertinent to where you're at. It's in the rear, or I'm off the alley, or I'm right behind the restaurant. Little information like that can be very helpful and save us time from having to go around the block or having to go in a situation where there may be a dead end or a blocked street. So the more information we can get from the public before we get there, because that comes up on our onboard computer, our MDT, all the pertinent information, the address, and everything that we need. And then also once we get on scene, if there's a family member there that can direct us, sometimes we get what's called waivers, and actually that's a good thing because that lets us know right where we're at, and they can take us right in. There's information that we can get from them as we're making our way into the house or into the structure, whether it be a fire, whether it be a medical emergency. They can give us all that pertinent information in that 30 seconds or 1 minute from the street to the actual unit. So that's very important, and we encourage residents or people to do that, have access. If you can open a door for us, come down to the front, open a security gate, have that open for us, all that helps. Time is critical, and that's a very big help to us.
Just be careful because we don't want anybody to get hit by...
Get your special secret code to get yourself in.
It's a secret code.
Okay. Okay, Linda, so we made our way into the garage area. We're going to start here and go all the way up through the house. So in the garage, some of the hazards or some of the things that come up we want to talk about. For example, if you got any flammable materials, anything that's flammable, I mean, anything that could be a tripping hazard. Sometimes we have people who stock things kind of high, their storages, so we want to be aware of that. And if there's some general housekeeping things we can do just to clean out that area, because in the event of an emergency, you want to be able to get out. So we made our way in. I see there's a vehicle right here, which is concerning to me because of access if we need to get in and out during an emergency. Okay, and this also tells me that there's probably somebody home. And we know it, you know, it depends on the time of the day. Sometimes it's, you know, noon, or sometimes it's 2 in the morning. If it's 2 in the morning, I got a car in the garage, I'm concerned that there's people here sleeping. Okay?
Okay.
So that's going to be a signal to me.
This is the most scenic room in the house. So we start with it, right?
Yeah. So we'll make our way around and we'll take a look here what we got going on. There's some tripping hazards. I see a post right there. That would be concerning to me, so we'd have to be careful with that as we're walking.
I guess so, because I once tripped over it.
Yeah, I mean, it's gray, and it blends in with the concrete. So if we didn't, maybe we can paint it white, or we can paint it yellow, just so it stands out.
Never thought of that, so, okay, sooner or later it'll get painted. I will do that.
Absolutely. And just right offhand, when I look around, I don't see a smoke detector down here.
No, there isn't one. That's true. I never even thought about it.
Well, this would be a great place for a smoke detector.
Okay.
Because it's downstairs, you're on a tri-level.
Yes.
If something happens down here, you want to be able to hear something or get that early detection, like we said. Flat out, smoke detectors save lives, okay? So we'll make note of that as far as needing a smoke detector down here in this level. Okay, I see you've got some boxes stocked here. You've got an electrical plug-in for your dryer. Now what happens is with the dryers, the lint traps get congested and full of lint. There's a buildup there sometimes, so that can be a problem sometimes, or a source of ignition. So you want to be careful with that. Everything looks pretty clean around here. You've got your gas line right there with the flex line, much like we have on our water heaters in the event of an earthquake or something like that. Get that flex line in there, some movement, and everything's pretty safe right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's okay.
Yeah, everything's looking good right there. Okay, and I see over here more boxes. We've all got boxes. You gotta have boxes.
But they're all my client. Most of them are client old records. I don't know what to do with them.
Oh, maybe we can put them on disc or something, or get them scanned.
Probably need to do that.
Where you can have them on file for records. Okay, well, let's make our way over here. I think I see some paint cans or something like that.
You do, and I don't even know what to do with them.
Uh-oh, are they old? Are they...
They're old.
They're
there's
old?
There's one here and there's one here. Well, they're about 6 years old.
Well, there's a hazmat roundup. It's an 800 number you can call. And they'll come out and they'll tell you the designated places to take that. Old paints, old chemicals such as paint, dried up things like that, corrosives, all that stuff that we don't want to put down the storm drain and we don't want to flush down the toilet. So it's a hazmat roundup. It's an 800 number, so we can look them up and we'll make sure we get that out of your way, especially if it's not being used and they're just stored. Okay. What do we have here? Just more boxes that are stored?
Sons.
More Sun stuff? Okay.
All my son stuff.
Okay.
It's my son's corner, my daughter's corner.
Yeah, well, we're getting close to getting a little impacting our exits here.
Right.
So when this door comes up or down, we want to make sure that's clear. And the more room, the better, of course. So we're getting a little close as far as our storage space in the room. And I think that's about it. That's all I see down here. Okay. So we'll make note of those couple of safety items we talked about, or issues, and then we'll make our way upstairs, okay?
Okay, it's a deal.
All right, so I'll follow you up.
The next floor. It looks much better upstairs, guys.
Okay.
You know, you never know how much stuff you're actually holding on to in a garage until you go through all of it in depth. Thanks, Ron and Linda. We'll see you back here shortly. In the next segment, Ron Haralson begins his size-up of the interior of Linda's home. Stay tuned.